What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I'm here today to talk about JID's album, God Does Like Ugly, and this is specifically the Prelux edition that includes the EP at the end of the project. Yet again, JID delivers another masterclass project. JID, in my opinion, with this album, has entered the God level MC. The whole album is well-rounded with subject matter, lyricism, and sounds. You got your bangers that can get you hype, that still include a lot of the ignorant shit that we like, but also some really thought-provoking music. Even for him, he took it up a notch with a few records on here that was like, damn, like he's entering like Lupe Fiasco status with some of these bars. And for you, get your pitchfork and your torches. I don't mean he's better than Lupe. I'm just saying he's entering that department to be in that level of legendary status, you know, down the line as he continues to release albums. Like I do, I'm gonna go through the tracks and talk about the themes and what I picked up and my favorite lines from each song. So if you see me looking down, I'm referencing my phone because I did take notes, and I love this kind of rap, man. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the album starts with You Ugly, and I love that the first thing you hear is you got Westside Gun talking and shit as usual, saying all types of wild statements over this eerie vocal sample, and it just sets the tone. But then when the beat finally does drop, JID hops on here with one of my favorite lines: fans argue over record sales like the record execs themselves. I hate that shit, man. Fans are doing it for everything. Even in the movie side, people are talking about box office, and actually it's all about, does it sound good? I don't care about nothing else. Is it thought-provoking? Are there bars in it? Like, I'm glad that he said this. I love that. Some of my other favorite lines in this first verse, it's like we all under a spell, and still I hope this message reaches you well. That's gonna go under the radar. So like, it's like we're all under a spell, you know, witchcraft, but also spell as in, you know, writing out words, and still I hope the message, writing out words, reaches you well. So I thought that was a really nice play on that. It took a ceiling challenge to show him above my peers, like that slick wordplay. Emma Stone behind the mic, no comparisons pale. It's been a long time coming, I swear. Love that bar. And then in the second verse, when the beat switches over, Paul Walker chasing chickens, you ain't ready to crash. Ludicrous laugh, double entendre. Of course, Paul Walker crashed, rest in peace, but Ludacris also being in Fast and the Furious and in that movie called Crash that involves a crash. Crazy pen. This ain't the blueprint, nigga, this the black pen. I let it K-pop, no Blackpink. Like that bar. The song overall is just talking about what the album is about, in totality. God does like ugly, you know. The statement in the South is always, God don't like ugly, you know, letting people know you shouldn't act that way because he doesn't approve of how you may be talking to people or whatever. But this is a flip on that argument that maybe the reason we go through stuff is because God does like ugly. And you know, that statement of he gives his strongest soldiers the hardest battles, and that is a play on that, I feel like, and the whole album is surrounded by that thing in itself. So great opening record. And then we get the Glory with a sample from a choir, I believe. I heard JID talk about it, I forgot the name of the choir, but he had to get approval of his lyrics, and they had to hear the record, and he specifically does not curse on this record because of them approving the sample. Favorite bars on that joint: God baptized me in cold water and it turned warm. That's hard. Come with a red eye, I'm wearing Como de Garçon. And again, those are my favorite too, but there are bars all over here, and this is more of just JID going off. And then we get to the single Work. I'm pretty sure everyone's heard that, but it sounds really good coming after Glory being this upbeat trap type record. I really love that. But we get to the next record, which is Community featuring Clips. Absolutely love this song. This sample is so sad and dark, with those vocals just crooning, and it starts with JID, the rain take the pain away, and he has this flanger on his voice to sound deeper and darker. But the most surprising thing with this song is JID hops on this record sounding extremely angry. I don't give a fuck about no industry beef. It was almost like, damn, he really feels some type of way, and to pull that type of emotion out and it sound like it's from the heart, you totally believe that he's pissed off. And a line that I like that he says during that angry, projection, he's like, I peep your rap cap, I'm about to unscrew things. Love that. And then as the verse continues, he jumps back into his normal voice and he's like, I'll put a bullet in Bob the fucking Builder. I love that line. And the most unexpected part was Clips being on this record, because when I first listened to it, it didn't have any of the features. And I'm listening to JID go, spend some time in Virginia, let my homie tell you something that I'm missing. And I'm like, excuse me? And then Push comes on there. The things that I miss, I identified. Then I brought white through the hood. Shit, I gentrified. We had army weapons and we simplified. Point blank, let me simplify. Hearing his vocals crack across this beat was just perfect. And my favorite line, he says, niggas really lived the wire. From lookouts, then we meteored to suppliers. Oh. I love Push's imagery and his verbiage. He always says stuff in a way that I've never heard it said before. Meteor to suppliers, like the rocks breaking down and getting sent out. That's crazy. And then of course, Malice is on here too, with a ridiculous verse with the same rhyme pattern the entire time. Kilos turn boys to men here. My niggas mob deep, only the fittest survive here. That Jack in the Box should come as no surprise here. When kings can't raise their young prince, the doves fly here. Crazy. That's one of my favorite songs on this joint, period. You know, I love the clip, so coming off their album and hearing them again, chef's kiss. And then we get the G's at number 5, and I love that it's a flip on that old Lil Jon record, the Scrappy joint, Gangsta, Gangsta, which is funny because that song has actually been re-energized being in the Despicable Me movies. And it's pretty much just talking about the happenings of Atlanta from a standpoint of being a G in the first verse, and the second verse is kind of like people being G's and how it affects him on his day-to-day basis too. Especially in the second verse when he talks about his car being broke into as he went to one of the games. I believe, is it the Falcons or is it the Hawks? One of them. He was detailing about going back to his car and just being like, but also chalking it up to just being in the city of Atlanta. This is how people get down here, and so it's no surprise. And one of my favorite lines here is when he says, squeezing hammers like John Henry trying to beat a train. Fire bar. And then we get to track 6 called VCRs featuring Vince Staples, and I love this beat. I could hear Cole rapping on this. You know, I wondered, did he produce this? It sounds like something up his alley, but I just like how this is a rewinding of memories of how they got here. JID has a lot of great lines on this joint. Testing the odds, hop in a Hellcat and still be a vessel of God. I ain't killing shit cause it's cold, it's cause I'm cold. But my favorite little piece of bars that he says is, I got all of this on my dome as the rightmost sentences. If I explode like a truckload of nitro glistening, you just a bump in the road, shit, you might go missing. I'm psycho, I keep a pole like I might go fishing. And then there's a bar that he says on the second verse, I pray that when you see me at my worst, you see worth in me. Really love that one. And then Vince drops a really cold verse as well. The way he even opens up with, wild wine when shit get better with time. Love that. And then another line that I really love is raising hell to get a taste of heaven's gates. Super clean bar. So then we get to track 7, which is called Skate, and this is just homage to Atlanta. And for me personally, I would say Southeastern culture, because in the Southeast growing up here, skating was a huge part of my city. And I feel like for every city, a metropolitan city in the Southeast, we all dealt with the same type of skating thing. And he even has the beat that sounds really reminiscent, and I love that he has Sierra on there. I think it's dope, including Earth Game, because you know they're from different sides of Atlanta, and they're able to, you know, call out memories of going to skating rings in different places. So this is just homage to the city itself, and I love it. At 8 we have What We On, featuring Don Toliver, and this song is, you know, it's cool. I think it's definitely more of a vibe record. I'm not really into Don Toliver a lot, so when I heard him hop on, I kind of was like, But when JID started rapping and, you know, doing his harmonizing, I enjoyed it more. This is definitely like a night riding type of record where you're riding around just for the vibe. So for that, I do like it, but definitely not one of my favorites. And number 9, Wholeheartedly, is another one that's more vibey, featuring Black and Ty Dolla $ign. The song talking about trust issues from each angle, whether it be a partner, your friends, family. Again, it's cool, but not one of my favorites. It just depends on the vibe I'm in, because it is very vibey, so I don't want to say it's bad at all. But when it comes to JID, in his album, period, I've been more rapidy rap mode with him. So to have this in the middle of the project after all of those rap records kind of breaks up the sound a bit, and it was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to get back into that rapidy rap shit. So still a cool record though. And I can say the same thing about Nobu with Jesse Reyes. It's a relationship record about, you know, the messiness that comes with relationships, and it's very vibey. Again, this whole section of the album is pretty much a vibe, because then the next record is And We Vibin', which explains what's going on here. Just after this, it kicks right back up again, and we get into On McAfee, which is a street in Atlanta. A few bars on here that I love, where he says, pulling up where we got the heat and this hooligans here. Who brought the beef and the food for the bear? Who got the fever this heat that can shoot in the air? So then we get to the record that I was talking about at the beginning of this review, where I say he moved into God tier and is on some Lupe Fiasco shit, is Of Blue. This song is incredibly dense, deep. It's like a novel in a record. He takes inspiration from Pastor Troy here with Vice Versa and just delves deep into this record, man. Like, I had to read the lyrics outside of the song because of the complexity of what he's doing. It's storytelling, it's filled with thought-provoking messages and imagery, while also still being able to be a lyrical gymnast with wordplay, metaphors, punchlines, multi-syllable rhyming. This is like masterclass hip-hop that could be like taught in a class. That's how great the writing is here. The first half of the verse describes an artist who, you know, is a writer who's constantly working to appease everyone but himself, which eventually drives him insane, leading to his self-demise, playing into when he says, you know, what if heaven was hell or vice versa, a verse of vices. That's what he's saying here, is the need to be great, and that's a vice itself. And then taking vices like the drugs, when he says, you know, write a line, snort a white line, and he says it 3 times, as your need and want of acceptance is a vice in itself, but you use vices to get there. Masterful stuff, man. And then after, you know, he explains the demise, he switches the theme to show how this person could have overcome that, and then it leads him to like, there's more than just hell, heaven, and purgatory. So this is just great writing. And then the second verse, he goes into his beliefs through his own experiences. But when he gets to this part where he says, violets, blue blood dripping as red as the roses, niggas shooting, not a movie, you're dead in the focus. Not only is that a bar, like, but it takes us back into the reality we live in now and just how dangerous things are. And then he goes into the spiel of having to look over his shoulders and protect himself from others, not only from a physical standpoint, but spiritual, and even explaining why he's spiritual. And one of the greatest lines I love, he's like, I gotta watch myself. I'm bleeding, taking a beating. We come from the Bible Belt. I thought that was a really great flip on a metaphor, you know, taking a beating. Then K-word is JID personifying what karma is, talking shit to it, saying like, this is why you got me here. And it just attacks karma from all different types of emotions, saying, I paid for this because of karma, but I'm also got this because of karma and being a good person. So I love that. And there's even vocals from Pastor Troy that you can hear in the background if you listen. And then you get to For Keeps, where this is the end of the album, which JID gives us a look into how he got here in different ways, talking about his job at Domino's. And what I love even more is he broke it down a lot with how Atlanta as a music city and where hip hop city works and how he got into it. And back when I used to chase rap as well, I experienced a lot of these same different things in Atlanta. So here back in the day, we talking about the 2010s, right? In order to really break out in Atlanta, Georgia, you would have to do open mics. That was a really big thing here. I don't know what it's like now, just because the internet has made things differently, but open mics were the underground circuit of Atlanta hip hop, and if you were able to kill there, then chances are you could make some shit stick. And you would have to come to these things week after week after week after week and prove yourself. So it was definitely a grind to do that, and that's what he's talking about here. And I just really love the insight, because I don't know if a lot of people know that's how it works in Atlanta and why so many people get on and why the collaborative process down here is the way it is. So that's really the end of the album. But now we're starting to get into the Prelux songs, and honestly these records are my favorites of all of them. So we start with Behold, and the reason why these records are so great is because they are nothing but bars, and I love bars, bro. Behold, they say JID in GOD mode, 223 reload. Let's see how fast the EMT go. These flows keep they feet cold. These thrones getting repoed. While these folks playing musical chairs, watch the seat fold. Hand on my dick, hand on my Glock, hands on your pockets, you bitch. Hannibal Lecter whenever I lecture niggas biting my shit. Cooking up the kitchen with the cayenne pep. Hide my eye, nigga, I ain't slept. I'm on one slide, you high on meth. I'm shooting up dope, town belts. Ew. So there are more quotables. I'm not going through all of them. I'd be here all day. These are just my favorites that I like. Then we get to a record featuring Lil Yachty called Knew Better, and this beat is so freaking tough. It sounds like a demented organ and like a horror-esque synth with the beat just dropping, them hi-hats hitting. I even like Lil Yachty on here, you know. He ain't saying nothing that's crazy, but I just like his tone on here, and especially that hook. And then JID again jumps in here and goes crazy. Hop in the whip, crank that bit loud as it gets. You can make a little vehicle flip. Bought my mama a crib based on that lyrical, miracle, spiritual shit. Love that. It's a debt that was paid. The life laying in a bed that was made. Now who funny, too sunny, who running shades? You running flu coming, bubonic plague. Do you hear all of those multis in there? Who funny, too sunny, who brung the shades? You running, flu coming, bubonic plague. What? And then he gets into this crazy wordplay shit that like blew my mind as I was hearing. I was just like, circle around the earth, be seeing the same serpent, determined to steal, kill, and destroy, and it kinda worked. For back to whipping the slaves I was whipping and working, it gets you tripped up. For getting too close to the curtain is just a certain, this shit is a curse, and it's very personal, so I'm putting it in the verse. You see you in church. Crazy, dog. And then we get to my favorite record, Lisa. This beat is so soulful, but dark at the same time. And it just has this tempo that allows you to go in, and that's what JID did. 1, 2 before 3, like 2, 3 when it's his third, that 9, 2, that 9, 3 season, crowned a new king. That's crazy. This is all talking about Jordan, Michael Jordan. That 92, that 93 season, man. The kid came and proceeded, no protege ID, more prime time with the lines. You know I'm fine in press defense. Prime time, you pressing defense. Deion Sanders, what? Gave me food for thought, that mental appetite, it fed I. Can't tell you what was said, cause that less could get us some fed time. And then my favorite part from this first verse, I read between the rhymes and saw the lies and looks in niggas' eyes. When I arrive, you see a robber rise and know it's ride or die till all the writers die. Rise and shine, sun creeping in from behind the blinds. Destiny's child, he came in with the ambiance. Say I'm beyond the normal ramen calm you find. Fasted with Mustafa, solidarity for Ramadan. And the second verse is just as crazy, man. I showed him the rage, hate and raise up into my shoulders. I show you ain't safe. Couldn't move an inch. Shit was too intense. Now I'm trying to get back to the root of it. Elementary, my did the rudiments. Penitentiary, free all the hooligans. My mind scattered brain just like me, Conway and Ludacris. I really do this shit like it's my diligent duty. But I see you comparing me to certain people is rude and I feel stupid. I had enough of this foolishness. Dump truck dumping out the trash, but I'm improving on my craft. I've been cruising down this path. I took a bruise and I just laughed and keep it moving. I ain't mad at none of you. This shit is amusing. It's just music and I love it, so I lose it when they leave me out the loops of who's the truest, who's who, and I'm just here like, you-hoo. That's crazy. Do you hear all those homonyms? The literary devices that he's using here? And it ain't like this is just words. These are full sentences and concepts that have meaning behind them. It's one thing to do multis, right? When you just are doing compound rhymes where you're rhyming 2 words or 3 words, you might go, I'm sending it back. I'm doing this so your men can react. Step up to me, you're finna get clapped. I ain't really down for the gimmicky acts, right? Multiing, that's definitely fire to do. But when you're able to use homonyms with the multis, to where you're just latching on to one sound and you're just constantly using that in a span of like 8 bars, it's amusing. It's just music, so I lose it when they leave me out of the truest, the rudest, the rooted, like. And then my favorite line on here that literally made me stop the car when I first heard it is, it's been a lot of years, huh? Shed a lot of tears too. The man in a miracle is merely more than a miracle. And then we get to Animals Part 1, which I'm not even gonna like remotely right now. That record is lyrically insane. JID and Eminem going off for 6 minutes, 3 minutes apiece, rapping at a speed that is too incredible with so many bars. And you already know this is Eminem's bag. First of all, Eminem, he said, "It's like I'm walking in seeing you naked because you ain't even decent. Bestiality, me and JID are two fucking animals?" What? I'm not changing, but I signed 50 Cent and added to my piggy bank. I see. You heard the record, you know what that record did, so there's no need for me to go over it, but this is just a masterfully crafted album. If you listen to the album, let me know in the comments what you thought about this. Where do you rank it amongst the year? And of course, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.